Hello, everyone, and welcome to How to Improve Your Professional Identity in 2022. My name is JT O'Donnell. You know me, I'm the founder and CEO of Work It Daily and on here all the time on all these platforms. But I'm also so lucky today to have with me Olivia Jones from Contra. Hello, Olivia.
Hi, I'm so excited to chat with you today and to share with everyone how we can really elevate our professional identities, especially because it's 2022. We're in the future. We gotta catch up.
We definitely do. And, when we reached out and decided to have this conversation, I was talking to you about the fact that everyone needs a LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn, 742 million people and counting. It's the yellow pages, right? It's the phone directory from 50 years ago. You have to be there so that you can be found. But it serves a very specific and important purpose, which is that as a result, though, it's very structured and it doesn't allow for that individuality that is so vital to enhancing your professional identity and creating more unique identity so that you can attract people. My challenge for the longest time had been that the only alternative to LinkedIn were personal websites. And my issue with them as a career coach was that they got too creative. I know for a fact that if you're recruiting or you're searching for something, you do want some sort of structure to make it easy for me to find what I need to know about you. And I didn't feel like personal websites allowed for that. If anything, when I talk to recruiters, they said, I don't have time to look at a personal website. So we've been missing that void. And then I came across Contra and started working with Contra and started doing, using it. And I'm obsessed. And I'm obsessed because it's filling that unmet need. It's bridging that gap. So for me, the endless number of ways that everyone here can tailor something like Contra and use it to complement what you're already doing on LinkedIn is what I think you need to do in 2022. And I hope that you get a lot of ideas today around that. So before we begin, I want to do a little housekeeping on these live events. We have left a ton of time for questions, I promise you. So hold your questions to the end and we'll tell you when and we'll show you how to post your questions so that we can answer them, all right? But before I get started, I just want to give a shout out. We've got people from all around the world, Olivia. We've got people from Edmonton, Canada. Hey there, Esther. We've got Jamaica on the line. We've got India on the line. Kenya, Nikki from Kenya. Moshera from Egypt. This is unbelievable. North Africa and Tanzania. And the fact that we've got such a global audience today proves the fact that this tool, this platform, you're going to see how Contra can drop the geographic boundaries to getting your professional identity out there. And so this is one of the many exciting things that we're going to talk about today. So that's what's got me most excited. Olivia, what are you most excited about sharing with everyone today?
I'm so excited to learn how we can help folks take how they share their work to the next level. I think it's something that's so important where I'm an independent as well. So I do a lot of freelance work and how I can share who I am in my work without someone having to physically be there to witness it because I
Oh, it looks like maybe we've got a sticky connection with Olivia. I'm sure she'll come back in here in a second. But while we're waiting to do that, let's talk a little bit. I want to share a little bit about my experience with Contra, and then we're going to get into the different ways you can use it, like she said, to elevate her professional identity. So first thing I want to tell you is that I stumbled across Contra when I was using TikTok. And for me, using TikTok was really important because I'm trying to share as much free career advice out there that I can. If you know me, you know that my whole mission, my professional identity is to try to serve as many people as I can so that they can actually get the results that they're looking for. It's really huge and very, very important. And Contra allows me to take my profile because I'm always talking about this free resource that you need, or this article that you should look at, or this video you should listen to, because I can't give you everything in a TikTok. Contra has given me a way to link to all that stuff in the TikTok itself so that if somebody's watching my TikTok and I'm saying, click my portfolio link, they can click and go and find that stuff easily. I can't do that on a tool like LinkedIn. I can't do that on a tool like a personal website. So that's when I really started to understand the value of Contra, because all of us have parts about our professional identity that we want to share with the world, but we don't have an easy place to store it and present it. So I think that it's really important that you all understand that and how that can be done. And one of the things that I would love to share with you is my own. I'm just going to show it with you, this piece here. This is my Contra profile. This is what I log into when I see Contra. And when I talk about sharing things, they refer to them as projects. So as you can see here, for me, I've listed all of the different tools that I want people to have access to that I often talk about in my TikToks, but you might have articles that you've written or videos, or maybe you've got services. Maybe you truly are an independent contractor and you want to show them some of the project work that you've done so people can get to know you better. This is what we mean about it allowing to present who you are as a professional, as opposed to where do you work? Where'd you go to school? What's been your experience? I think as a career coach, one of the biggest challenges people face with elevating their professional identity is being put in a box. Can you all relate to that? That unfortunately, they're judging you right out of the gate on what you've done for work or where you went to school, when you'd rather them focus on this. I would also say that professional identity can be a challenge for people who are trying to switch careers, who are looking to pivot, because with LinkedIn, you have to put your current experience and anything you've done in that area. Well, if you're trying to get into a different field, it's very hard because they're looking at the past experience. But with something like a Contra profile, you can choose to elevate, as Olivia said, the things that matter now, the work you're doing now. That's how you can rebrand yourself and attract the attention of the people that you're looking to get the attention of, right? To make that professional identity stick. So I love the ease of use. We're going to talk about some of the other functionality here, but I just wanted to show you what I meant by that. What we're going to do now, though, is take you through some of the things that are so great about it. So let's have Olivia just tell us, Olivia, what is the definition of Contra? What in your mind? Can Olivia hear us? Oh, Olivia, we can't hear you. Oh, no fun. Bad connection today. Let's see if she can try that again while Olivia's getting her audio back. So, folks, very simply, it's built for independence, right? It was built by independents. So it's a group of people who realized we needed more functionality than LinkedIn alone. And it's that ability to be flexible and independent. But more importantly, and at the bottom, you'll see this, and we'll get to this later. If you are somebody that is looking to be independent and monetize, they actually don't charge any fees. Now, for somebody like me, I don't have to necessarily sell through Contra, but if I ever did want to do contract work or some kind of project work, it's all built in here. And I think you all hear me talk all the time. If you can see back here, you're a business of one. So I really believe none of us are employees anymore. We're all businesses of one. We're all independents. You're an independent whether you want to be or not. Every job's temporary. And we live in a gig economy, and we're continuing to move in that direction. What's scary about the gig economy is being able to manage your business of one, because we know, businesses of one have lots of things they have to take care of. Finances would be one of them. So the fact that there's a platform, which again, LinkedIn doesn't have, but a feature where you could actually charge and manage all of your payments through there and not be charged any fees is pretty enormous. That's a really big deal. And I think that as you're moving forward, even if you're saying, gee, I don't see myself doing that, JT, I see myself just working for a company full time, you still want to be on a platform and have the option. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with somebody, they've landed their dream job, but they've also got a chance to do a side hustle or do some kind of project work. Well, being on a tool like this is how you, one, could attract that, right? You could build your own professional identity in something different than what you do full time. But two, you could monetize it through a tool like this. So Olivia, I was just giving them the scoop on, Contra and it being an independent platform for independents and it having these zero commission fees, which I think is huge. What I was hoping you could do is talk about the difference between projects and services and how that could work for everyone.
Absolutely. So as we all know in the professional world, most often you are asked for your resume. And sometimes your resume doesn't always show off exactly what work that you've done. It might show what companies that you've worked for. You could list down some of your skills. But for some people, seeing is believing, seeing your work in action, seeing how exactly you worked on a project. It might be exactly what someone is looking for. So we are able to share your work through projects. It's like your living, breathing resume, your portfolio. It's able to show your best work. So you can post two different types of things. So you could link a project. So if you are a writer and you want to direct folks to your articles or blogs, if you are someone who is working in creating social media and you want to drive viewers to see your content in action, see those likes, see those comment sections, you can link a project, you design a website, you can link that to folks, or you can create it from scratch. So if you're someone who's a designer and you created a brand suite and you want to lay out, these are all the colors I used. This is why I chose these colors. This is how I worked with this person. This is how I develop a project management system that will work for you. All of that good stuff. You're able to showcase your work, and you're also able to talk a bit more about how you worked on a specific project, how you engaged with the client, what inspired you, if it was a mock project or something that you were doing to enhance your skills. It's just a really exciting way to be able to showcase and share your work with folks in all one place, which is super, super great. And to counter your projects, there are services. So you're sharing all of these things with folks, and now they see, okay, they wrote this article or they created this UX UI design, whatever it is, you want to be able to immediately connect that to a service that you're offering. And so these are your best skills. This is how you monetize your skills. So you can offer different services. It could be packages, it could be individual services, whatever you would like. And then you offer this, and folks can request your work in one click. So in this service, you talk about your process, what the deliverables are. I like to say that you use your services to onboard your client before they hire you. So that way, instead of a ton of back and forth, which happens when you're like, here's my resume, now you want to work with me, here's an example of my project. Okay, let's talk about what I did in an email or a phone call or whatever it is. They've seen that on your profile and your projects. They connected that directly to your services. All they have to do is do one click, and then they're there. And I know that this sounds really salesy, but that's something that's so valuable and so useful, especially when you are working within a global network, where the majority of the work that I got in when I was doing primarily freelancing was like in person, like networking events, being able to find them and share all of that information with them directly or showing them on my phone. But now I'm able to do the same thing through a Contra profile, which I think is really, really excited to have that little like buffet of what you're able to offer folks and projects to immediately back it up.
I love that. And I just want to show an example. So folks, this is, like I said, my projects where I can show examples, but people can also just click on my services tab, like she said, and with a quick toggle, they can come over and see the various things that I offer. And the reason I like that is because there's also a messaging piece within here. People can message me questions, and I can very easily direct them over to the services page and the service that they need. And in the past, I didn't have that simplicity. You had to go pull separate URLs and find different places. And so for those of you that truly are independent, having a projects and a services section all in one place is huge. Now, that being said, I just want to remind everybody, you don't have to be independently selling right now not to have a Contra profile. You could skip the services section and not list anything for your services and just focus on your projects. That being said, as we move forward in this economy, all of us are going to eventually have side hustles. And so if you're building this out and you want to do a freelance project from time to time, there may come a day where you want that services page, even if you work full time. So it's just nice to have it, but you don't have to use it. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And I think that's the thing that I love about this is functionality that's good for you now, but also in the future as you build out your professional identity.
Absolutely. And you can always have it if you don't want to offer specific service. You could have like a free phone call or check in for 10 minutes or email thread or whatever it is listed as your services. So folks can still see your work. So you could still have this space that you can direct folks to even before you're ready to use it, that you could start like building it up, which I think is great.
I love it. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about features, because we've mentioned a couple of them, but I think we want to talk about this all together and how you leverage this in your identity. And I just want to, before you go through all this, Olivia, I just want to talk about this, folks. Have you ever seen a business in your town and it's a new business and suddenly 6 months later it closes up and you wonder, why didn't it survive? And you think about it, You never heard anybody going to it. You never got any marketing materials from them. You never really understood what they were about. And you didn't feel it was your responsibility to go all the way over there and go in and check it out. I mean, some people are curious, but a lot aren't, right? The same thing applies to you and your professional identity. I think it's awesome. We all need a well-optimized LinkedIn profile so people can search and find you. But a lot of the times they're going there because they are already specifically looking for you. So where are you going to push out your professional identity so that people that don't know about you can find out about you? And let me be clear, even if you are a full-time employee and want to work for a company, you need additional professional identity these days, especially on a tool like Contra, who is actively doing what? Pulling employers into the platform, pulling companies in here that are looking for skill sets. So you might not want to be freelance per se, but why wouldn't you have your identity here in the event a company comes across you and goes, oh, wait a minute, I could hire them full time. The more you're out there marketing yourself, the more you can have people come to you. And I know everyone on here, including myself, we don't like having to go knock on doors and saying, hi, pick me. Will you talk to me? I would much rather somebody message me. That feels so much more comfortable, normal, and natural. This is what you need to do to enhance your identity and make that happen. You have to have tools like this beyond LinkedIn. So let's talk about the features and how it works, Olivia.
Okay, there are tons of features, but I'm going to talk about like my favorite ones because the business of being an independent is something that I really struggled with. I was a terrible invoicer, all that kind of stuff. So when I was first introduced to Contra, I was like, oh my gosh, where was this for me like 10 years ago when I first started? And some of the features that I want to highlight are things that simplify your independent business. So whether you're doing this part-time, full-time, whatever it is, trying to create an inclusive experience where it's a one-stop shop. So one of those things is inquiries. So just like we're talking about, having folks be able to reach out to you if they're interested in your services or want to start a conversation. So the way that you would share your LinkedIn profile or you would share your website or whatever it is, you're also able to share your Contra profile. And you're also able to link back to your LinkedIn profile, personal website, YouTube channel, whatever it is, on your Contra profile. So it can also redirect folks to learn more about you in other capacities outside of your profile if that is something that's exciting to you. And they can start a conversation with you, and that is on platform. Additionally, contracting. I really struggled figuring out what kind of language you needed to share with someone. And like, it's embarrassing to say, like, the majority of my career, I didn't have a contract. It was just like based on Word and emails. And I got out really, really lucky that I know it was never scammed. I was always paid, but that's not always the case. So something that is a part of Contra is a built-in common standard agreement. So it's a win-win for the independent and the client where you can feel safe and secure working with this person that you've just met, and being able to move forward, and you get to customize the different elements of what's in there. So let's talk about the project's terms and the scope of work. That's what's those customizable elements. So really talking about what you're going to be doing, the timeline, what the deliverables are, all of that is a part of the project terms and scope of work. And those will be built into your contract by nature of going through the flow of working with someone. And additionally, payment tools. This is something that we're so excited about and so excited to share with folks this year is that we have a Contra wallet. So this houses all the payments that you receive during your time at Contra, and you can keep track of when you receive payment for the work you've done. You could track the transactions. You could track the status of what's going on. So when someone has remitted payment to Contra, so that we, once a contract is signed, we collect payment from your clients and hold on to it so that they can't run away with the things that you share with them, to make sure that you will get paid. And so this also lets you know when they have paid Contra, when that's being held, when that's been released to your account. So you're able to track all of those wonderful payment elements without going back and forth. You can literally look at a tracker to see where that is, rather than the emails of, hey, have you sent the check yet? Do you know the timeline of that? What address do you use? Those 37 emails back and forth. Now you have it in a part of your Contra wallet, and you could manage all of your communication without ever leaving Contra. So all of your messages could happen through Contra rather than Slack or emails if that's something that you prefer. The payment happens on Contra, the contract, the scope of work, the deliverables. You're able to deliver those items on Contra unless you've decided and determined that you want to share it otherwise. But a lot of those elements, you could all do it in one place, which is something that is just really exciting to simplify what it's like to be an independent, to have those tools and features available to you. And there's a bunch of other stuff that's there, but these are my favorites because they're what I use and what I need now that I'm working with other folks. I'm like, okay, you want to work with me? Send me an inquiry on Contra, because then I can use these built-in tools instead of doing it on my own. It's a nice little hack.
I love this. And I just want to emphasize this, folks. So this happened to me early on as an influencer, as I started to take on paid engagements. I had an organization come to me back and forth by email, all these plans, payment on the day that the content was posted on the internet, and net 30 days. And you might hear this. Companies will say, well, we pay net 30 days. And so that just means they'll pay you in 30 days from the day you invoice. They reaped all the benefits of the traffic for 30 days and then never paid me. And I was so burned and angry about that. And it happened a while ago that I really that's when I smartened up about my contracts and how that all works. So as you can imagine, as someone who's had to build her own whole system, to then finally see that this is all built here, this is why I get excited, because I honestly believe all of you out there, there's going to be a point in time where you're going to want to work with someone, and to have this all built in a system, it's so much easier to do exactly what Olivia said and just say, you know what, go put your inquiry through Contra, work with me through Contra, so that I know that I am being protected, right? You're in business. When you're a business of one, you're in business for yourself. But if you use a tool like this, you're not in business by yourself. Does that make sense to everyone? This acts as all the different departments of your business that you don't have. And I think that's really, really key for you to understand, and why, again, even if you're not going to use it right away, it's smart to get on here and start to build out your profile and your identity. Really, really key. All right, let's talk about personalized matching. So now we're going to talk about the fact that get on here, and here's how you're going to be rewarded. Your professional identity could actually be found. You could actually be partnering with people that would otherwise never know about you. So Olivia, talk more to that.
Yes, so you've gone on Contra, you've made a profile, you've created these services. It's beautiful, sparkly, shiny. It's what we all want to see. You're showcasing your work and who you are. And then we take those profiles, those top-notch, beautiful profiles you've created, and we match you to opportunities that fit your skill set. We have clients who come to us looking for independence that work in Web3 or design or social media or marketing or analytics or all sorts of things. Folks come to us looking for independence because they know that we have a wonderful community, and our team personally matches you with opportunities that fit your skill set, that fit what you're working on, all of that good stuff. And we also make sure that we vet these opportunities. So everything that comes our way, we don't take because we want to make sure that there is a fair rate. So we don't accept like racing to the bottom for a rate. Like, we want you to make sure that you're getting paid a fair wage for the work that you're sharing. And we also want to make sure that this is a quality space for you to be working as well, so that you're going to be paid at the end of this opportunity. No one's going to try to ghost you or take you off platform or do any of that stuff. We want to make sure that you are all set to go. So they go through this vetting process, and then we match you to these high quality opportunities, which is something that's super, super, super exciting. And in addition to matching, we also showcase everyone or lots of folks on our website, and it rotates and cycles through who's featured all of the time. So
I just have to tell you too. So I heavily used Contra, like I said, on TikTok and other platforms. But when I go look at my analytics, I was shocked to find out that 5% of my traffic was coming from Contra itself. So to me, that tells me it's really starting to pick up in terms of people getting on there and looking for people with certain skill sets. That's, for those of you who don't know, that's a big percentage for somebody like me to have somebody finding me like that. And I'm sure that'll only grow over time. But that I was blown away. I'm like, how can that be? Which was huge. So, all right, let's talk about the projects, bringing a project to Contra and why you would want to do that.
Okay, one, this is hot off the press. This is something that is like brand new that we just implemented, and I'm super, super excited to share it with folks because now you're able to invite clients to specific projects. Before you would have folks join, they would send you an inquiry and you'd figure out what to do next, which is totally fine, a great way to do it. But now you're able to create a project. So you can invite them to collaborate. So you can either use their Contra URL if they're already a user. You could use their username if that is available, or their email address. When you type in their email address, it'll either pop up with their Contra profile, and if they don't have a Contra profile, then you are able to put in their name and their email address, and then we will send them a link to this project. So you can invite them to an existing service. So instead of building out something brand new, if it's something you already offer, a specific design package, a certain blog writing service, any of those things, and you've already talked about it, you can invite them to a specific service. So like it just fills in all the blanks for you. All you have to do is talk about the timeline, or you can create a brand new project from scratch. So someone is interested in your services, but kind of wants to piece something together that's a little brand new, or you met them on the street or wherever it was, and you shared what you're working on and they want to do a project with you. You can map out all of the different details of that project, what your deliverables are, the timeline, the budget, all of that stuff, the payment schedule, and then send it to them. So if it's someone who has a Contra profile already, it sends directly to their profile. If it's someone who doesn't have a Contra profile, they get an email that immediately prompts them to just like put in their name and confirm their identity, and then they're set. They can immediately countersign that contract and start working with you, and then enter their payment info so that they can pay you for your work as well. So like it's all in one place, making it easier for you to bring folks onto Contra so that you can really take advantage of those commission-free payments rather than working in other spaces where you would be charged a fee to get paid, which is silly. So this is something that's super, super exciting, makes it super easy to work with people both on the platform and folks who are new users.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's a huge deal. And again, folks, in this world where we've gone virtual quite a bit, where our entire business model is disrupted, where everybody wants the power to work remotely, whether it's full-time, part-time, maybe work in different parts of the world, being on a platform that can vet and make sure that you're going to get paid and that this person is legit, that's no small thing these days. You really want to think about that safety aspect. So, and the fact that they've built it in a way that, somebody out of the blue reaches out to you, you can put everything together and send it off. Again, that's like having a team for your business of one. Those would all, in bigger businesses, there's people that have each of those jobs, and you're talking about this all being automated for you, which is huge, which is just so nice to see. And then that leads to like reinforcing the commission-free payment. So can we talk about this? Because I didn't even believe this was real when you shared it with me. I was like, no, that can't be. Like, how does this work? How am I not being charged? Because it's pretty big when you start to do big project work, folks, and you're maybe charging thousands of dollars for a project. Having commissions taken out, it's a big chunk of your business. If you don't know how to properly price for that, you could see yourself making a lot less than you realize. So how did we get to commission-free payments on Contra, Olivia?
Well, the majority of folks who work at Contra have been independent or are also concurrently an independent. And so that's something that was just like a pain in our behinds, was commissions taken out of the money that we were getting the work for, whether it is transferring it directly into an account. That's something that's so tricky. Using PayPal, using other sites or methods, that is also tricky. Waiting weeks and weeks for a check to be delivered, if that is also the case. Something that was making it really difficult, and it wasn't sustainable for some folks to be a full-time independent folks. So where that is their goal, that is their objective. And so commission-free payment was like, that was the number one thing, where that's what we were like, okay, one, of course, we want to make it easier to be an independent and more accessible for folks because it's the future of work. But we also want to make sure that it's sustainable, that you're not, again, charging someone $10, but you only get $3 because of the commission. Like, that's something that's crazy. And so that was the number one thing, that independents should keep 100% of their earnings. That's just tried and true. And it's something we're always going to do.
I love that. And it's such a big differentiator from the other platforms. Like you said, if you've ever calculated and then saw your net amount, Like, it's happened to me again years ago, folks. I've learned this all the hard way. I've had to do this all manually. And now you have this here. And again, for those of you that are saying, oh, but I have a full-time job, I'm not necessarily ever going to do this. You will someday. As a career coach, I am telling you, there will come a day where you will either freelance, side hustle, or maybe your situation changes and you have to become an independent contractor. So to not have something set up that you can turn on with a flip of a switch, do it now. Don't wait until you're in that situation where you're suddenly realizing you have to find a way to take payments, and do it with somebody who's not going to charge you for it. All right. So that's how we're using Contra to enhance our professional identities. Obviously, we wanted to leave, like we said, a lot more time for you all to ask us questions about this. So here's what I'm going to have you do. If you have a question, put the word question in all caps first, and then write out the rest of the question. That way I can pick it out of all of the conversation here. And before we start taking questions, I just want to tell a short story. So I run an executive group. I teach executives how to build their presence online, because I cannot stress it enough. You are a brand, you are a business of one, and you really need people to know what you're about. And I was telling them why they all needed to be on Contra. And they all said, well, why would I bother to do this? What would I possibly put in there? And when we started to talk to them about, were you on a panel recently? Did you speak at an event? Yes. Is there a recording of that? Okay, put it in projects. Did you write an article for, this area, this industry thing that you've done? Yeah. Okay, put it there. So everyone, I don't care whether you're an executive or you're a student, recent grad, just starting out, there are things that we can help you figure out to put in the project section to help show your identity, your professional identity, in a way that, again, is not going to get you judged on where did you work and where's your degree from. And I just think that's so important these days, for you to be able to brand yourself based on the work that you're doing and the things that you want people to know about. And so with that in mind, I think we should absolutely take some questions. So let's take this one from a LinkedIn user. Do companies or individuals that want to hire Contra members pay a monthly fee, or do they pay a portion of the contract value?
At this time, the folks who are hiring via Contra are doing so free of charge. I know that in full transparency, something that we are developing are pro features. So things that you can opt into. So like something like commission-free payment, being able to create a profile with projects and services and have people reach out to you. Those are things that are always going to be free and available to folks. But as we continue to see and develop ways to sort of streamline other processes or heighten the way that folks are sharing their identities, we will then be monetizing that a little bit. And hopefully we'll have so many folks want to join us that we can't take them all, that maybe we do charge a little bit for companies to post and share with us.
Fair enough. All right. A question from Casey to you, Olivia. Are there projects or services that are not allowed on Contra? That's a really good question. Are there things that you're not allowed to sell?
Things that we're not allowed to sell are just things that are illegal or inappropriate. So I think like anything that falls under those guidelines that you're not able to share on other sites that are similar to us, that is also not available. So you can have any other types of projects and services. Like if you are someone who does really beautiful like art made of like pet hair, that's a dream and a journey you have, you could totally sell that. That does not break any guidelines, but you could check out our terms and services to see what projects and services are not allowed. But pretty much if it's illegal or in like bad taste or harassment or rude, all of those things are not allowed.
Fair enough, which is every platform these days,
Yeah.
right? With the exception of a couple that embrace that. But I don't think anybody here is interested in doing that. Design R100 wants to know what state or where Contra is headquartered.
We are headquartered in San Francisco.
But do you actually have offices, or is everybody virtual?
Oh, no, I guess that's true. Our like headquarters is in San Francisco, but we're all across the world.
Yeah.
We're in South America, we're in India, we're in Mexico, lots of folks in Canada, all across the US. We're a global group.
I love it. I love it. So one question is, what is the coolest job or services you've seen so far on Contra?
Okay, I know that this is also very particular because I'm getting very like excited and interested in like the Web3 world, but just like the sudden emergence of like design needs for the NFT world was just like
Mm,
whoa, that blew my mind. So that's
mm.
something that's really exciting and cool. Also like 3D rendering, folks who make like these models of cars that look like they're real. So
Yep.
that kind of stuff is just like very exciting and appealing to me because my brain does not compute. So
I know you could kind of just peruse through and start to see what people are selling. It could be pretty interesting as you move
yeah.
forward. There's a comment here, and I wanted to say thank you to Costa. Costa says, "Hey JT and Olivia, not so much a question but a comment. As a freelance designer, thank you for bringing the new platform to light. It's been a long time coming." Yeah, it has been, Costa. I agree. You know, I'm already an energetic person, but I rarely get overly excited about new technology anymore. I just don't. And this one was special to me when I saw it too. I can just see, given my years of experience in the space, what a game changer this is for people. I'm all about empowering the worker. I think you all know that. I left corporate America 20 years ago, and I've just been always about empowering the worker and trying to balance out the scales. And for me, a tool like this is really giving the worker everything they need, which is huge. And that leads into a question from Michael. Michael says, how does this apply if you're a sales or business development representative? Michael, thank you for asking that. So if you're in sales or business development, there are lots of things that you tend to want to do to educate a potential customer, right? You don't want to sell them. You don't want to hard sell them. You want to educate them. Maybe you've got a white paper. Maybe there's been a blog article. Maybe there's a case study or a story that you share. There are things that you have that you give people so that they can better understand why it makes logical sense to invest with your organization. That's the best salespeople I know. They're teachers, they're educators. So you must have an arsenal of things that you educate your clients on that would go in your Contra profile so that they could go see it and check it out. And you could very easily direct them to that. So they are then going, oh, I get it now. And they can reach out to you through that. That's not easy to do on a tool like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is nothing more than your virtual resume. So that's not going to help you sell unless you want to spend a lot of money doing paid sales on LinkedIn, right? This is about you being able to educate the customer in a way that can naturally and normally get them excited about talking to you. And again, thank you for asking that, because that's just one of the many ways that I'm seeing people be able to adapt Contra to elevate their professional identity in whatever industry they're in. So question here from Patrick is, can one share the projects page to someone who's not on Contra the same way you could share a portfolio website?
Yes, folks do not have to have a Contra profile in order to see it. So when you share your URL, it'll come up and it'll be your face, your bio, all of the links that you want to connect people to, as well as your projects page first and foremost, and then services. You can also connect them to specific projects or services by sharing the links to those specific bits. But yes, any and everyone has access to see your profile when you're sharing it, which is really, really cool.
I love it. And this is a really good question. How does this avoid not becoming an Etsy? So I'm going to give my point of view, Olivia, and if you want to expand on that. You know, Etsy has always been about crafting and selling your things that you create, right? So products, a lot of tangible stuff. Yes, there's people on there doing services, but to me, Etsy is more of that piece. Contra to me is truly your services, selling your work, the intangible stuff, right? And it's more business driven. So I just think that while there will continue to be other, types of companies that pop up that address this, like more Etsy's, we haven't had a Contra that has said, no, we're going to do this for people who do that work, that whether it's be more office work or technical work or whatever you want to call it. So I just don't see people coming over here and treating it like an Etsy. What do you think?
I think similarly, I think there are folks that have skills that overlap. So there are people who might do illustrations for websites or books or things like that, that also offer services that are illustrations that you might just want for your personal loved ones or other folks like that, especially around the holidays, because they have those transferable skills. So they're able to offer it as a service. Or folks who are writers, I've seen some of them be like, these are all the different types of copy I do, but I'll also write a personalized poem if that's something that you're interested in. So I think it's more occasionally a companion piece. We don't see it super, super often. But again, like like it's a lot of folks who are connecting to sell their services versus just specifically sell an item at this point in time. But you never know how things will grow and develop. So never say never if that's where we expand. But right now we're focusing on independent and freelance workers.
That's a really great point. We can never say never, but based on what I've seen. And that leads into a question. Is there a charge for setting up a Contra profile and having a presence? The answer is no. And that is why I love it. I would not come to you all with a professional identity tool if I didn't know that you could access it immediately and at no charge, which again is just very, very exciting to me because I was able to set up my Contra profile in minutes and then suddenly tie it to my TikTok account. And I just can't stress enough about what a game changer that's been. And if it's okay, I want to just take a quick second to show you all what I mean by that. So we're going to come over and we're going to see my Contra profile. Now, as an independent on Contra, one of the cool features I have is something called Pro Analytics. As you can see, I have a 52% increase in people viewing my profile in the last 28 days. So I've been with Contra since November. I have seen this kind of growth month over month over month as I continue to use my Contra profile and TikTok and then all these other places. You can see how many project views I've had, service views, inquiries, and then they break down where my traffic is coming from. So I talked to you about Contra as a platform is providing me. I've got direct traffic, and you can see because I've been using Contra the most on TikTok, that's where I'm getting the majority of that traffic. But I can see where it's coming from. This is mind-blowing to me. This is the fact that this is free and set up in a way that I can get people to reach out to me faster. This is what I mean about having a tool. And I don't have these kind of analytics on LinkedIn. And I don't have the same way for people to reach out direct to me on LinkedIn, right? They either have to pay for an in-mail or they have to try to get me to connect with them so that we're then connected so they can message me. That's not the case here. And that's why I just think that's really incredibly cool. So I'm just going to say, I think that's pretty huge. You want to add to that, Olivia?
I just think that it is a tool to make sure that folks that are independent and freelance workers just have equal access to be a part of this field, to make the choice to no longer be in a full-time role at a company, to leave quote unquote like corporate America or whatever you refer to it, but to just like the freedom of work is something that we're so passionate about. And so making that accessible is what we're all about. It's very mission driven. I know that we're like not a nonprofit, but that's why all of us were drawn to Contra to work there, because we're very mission driven. And so like we're able to make it a reality. Like I know that I work there and I want you to join, but like I'm saying this out of like pure passion. Like I tell my friends and family to join because I'm passionate about it. And I know that it's something that would benefit the work that they're doing. And as you know, as folks who may have worked in other places, you don't always want your friends and family to take part because you know what goes on in the background, but that's not what this is here.
I love it. Well, and speaking of, you mentioned nonprofit, Curtis wants to know, could somebody starting a business different one. I will come back to that. I'll come back to you, Curtis. Is this platform appropriate, Rachel wants to know, for those who work with nonprofit organizations? So my simple answer is yes, because you can point everybody towards the nonprofit and the various things that you want them to see. What do you think, Olivia?
Yeah, absolutely. As an independent, I almost exclusively work with nonprofit organizations. And so this is just like another easy way for folks to connect with me, to join me, to see the work that I'm doing. We have people with all types of niches, folks who focus on the health industry, folks who focus on wellness and sharing plans and work with that. Like there has not been many niches that we've come into contact with that don't work with Contra.
I love it. I love it. Let's go back to Curtis. How might this apply to someone starting a business in security awareness training spaces? So, okay, I'm going to give you the example, Curtis. Security awareness training, right? So you've probably done a video. Hopefully you're doing some video work so that where you're educating people on that. Maybe you've written an article about it. Maybe you have a website. Anything that has a URL, can be turned into a project and be highlighted on your Contra platform. In fact, why don't we go over there really quick? Let me just, go back there and show you. So in mine, if I say create a project, the first thing it does when I do that is it says put in your project URL. So I have to assume you've already built some digital assets online, some links somewhere. You can take any one of those links and put them in here. And then it prompts you to go through and fill in some additional information so that when you're done, it's set up like a project in your feed here. So I just think that if you already know what people need to know about your business in order for them, again, you're educating them in order for them to want to talk to you, that's what you put in there in the project feed. And I'm sure you have these URLs. You wouldn't be that far along in the business. And if you don't, my friend, then you need to be following me because I'm on here all the time talking about how to create those digital assets for yourself so that you can educate people and get them to have interest in you. So definitely, I think you need to do it. And you want to get started the sooner the better, because this could be a great fit for you. This is interesting. So Marlo is saying, what's the success rate for job seekers that use Contra, especially if you do not have any services for sale? There's no way to know that. I would always be honest with you. There's no way for them to figure that out and track that data. I guess my bigger question to you, Marlo, is how's it going if you're in job search mode with what you're doing now? And what do you have that you can do differently to stand out? I work with job seekers every day. My platform, Work It Daily, we work with people who are actively looking for work. And when they come to us, what we often find is it's the fact that they have no customization over their LinkedIn or their resume. Those tools, recruiters want those in a very specific way. And the moment you design them that way, you're judged. So if you have a different tool you can use to create a different first impression and you can get that in front of someone, you can change the hiring game for yourself. And that's who I care about most, is you. Who cares about the stats with Contra? You have to do that. And so why wouldn't you build a Contra profile and try to use that to get in front of hiring managers to separate yourself? That's what I'm saying. Because again, LinkedIn and your resume are very specific. They serve a very specific purpose, but as a result, they actually make it easier for a recruiter to skim and choose you not to follow you than to actually talk to you. And this is the frustration that everybody has. So I would tell you, you've really got nothing to lose in spite of the fact there's no direct data. Let's see. Okay, question for you, Olivia. Would Contra take the place of a project portfolio website?
Yes, and it totally can. If you're someone who already has a portfolio website or a personal website, this doesn't mean like get rid of it and get a Contra. As someone who is not website gifted, this is something that is a really wonderful alternative for me because I'm able to share my work easily in a space that has like easy to follow UX UI design, able to share my work, able to share my services without me having to like build something. For folks where it's really important for them to have their own individual brand, or they have like an extended space where they just want to highlight specific projects as a part of their Contra profile that connects to like a specific set of services, you could link your profile, your portfolio, your website. We have lots of folks who do that as well, who turn their own websites into a project, especially folks who either built them or branded them. They will show how they created that as a part of a project and offer that as a service if that's something that is important for them. So like, yes, and like it could take the place of a project portfolio, but it doesn't have to. Again, it's enhancing your professional identity. So you don't have to get rid of your other spaces in order to utilize Contra and utilize it well. But it is something to add to it. And if you're someone who's no interest in making a portfolio website, then like definitely this is a place that you want to be.
And I'm just going to tag in on that really quick. So if you have a portfolio website, you have to decide what you want to show for a second, third, what the journey that you want the user to take. And if somebody's actively looking for your services and they don't need what they see, they can bounce off the page. They can never get to the point where they see what you wanted, what they're actually interested in that you do. What I like about Contra is that those projects could be done by type. So your portfolio, if you have different pages on your portfolio, those could all be there. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's just so much more control over how you navigate that person getting to know you and letting them pick and choose what they need to know about you. And if you know anything about business and marketing, that's the key. You don't want to lose the potential customer, the viewer, because they're not getting what they want. And I think that's where I would say, like you said, don't lose the portfolio. Go grab the portfolio links and break them out in Contra by type so people can get to it faster. That would just be an idea on my end. And I love this one. I swear I was hoping we would get this question. Alexander says, I am someone who is pursuing a career in client relationship customer success. Okay, so traditional role, love it. But I'm also an artist with a great portfolio. Raise your hand if you are on here right now and you've said, I don't know how to separate and market these two aspects of myself. You cannot have two profiles on LinkedIn. You can't. And people have always come to me and said, how do I do both of these on LinkedIn? And my answer is you can't. Because if I'm looking for a client success person, but you're trying to hype the fact that you're an artist, in my mind as a recruiter, I'm thinking, oh, and the moment the artist thing takes off, you're going to ditch me. And if you only do the artist, I'm not going to see the customer success piece. That has been the number one complaint people have come to me about on LinkedIn for years, because you can't have two profiles. But this is where I think Contra really starts to have the power in terms of allowing people to specialize. Do you agree, Olivia?
Yes, I think especially folks who have two different skill sets, I often see them advertise one space potentially as like their business selves, or under like a boutique firm name or their pen name or whatever that is, in addition to a separate profile that is under a different name that focuses on those skill sets, just so that you can really enhance and focus on what you are sharing, where there is a limitation to the number of roles and tools currently that you could share as a part of your identity. So you don't want to be like, okay, do I put two artist ones or two customer service ones? Where it's really nice that you're able to like create one full identity and create a second full identity, for yourself, so that you can connect to artists, and we can see the way that we can connect you as someone who is an artist working with someone, and we can connect you as a customer success person and share that with someone as well. So like having multiple profiles doesn't exclude you from matching. In fact, like it enhances our ability to connect you directly to the roles that fit that skill set.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's huge. That's been an unmet need in the space for such a long time. I love that you asked that question. It was great. Olivia, as we wait for a few more questions, folks, you are plowing through this. If you have any final questions, let me know, because we do have a hard stop. But I do have a question for Olivia. You've been using Contra and you're part of it for a while. Has there ever been a time where you felt like you weren't able to work the client through the needs of the process? Like, do you find it difficult to coach the client through using Contra? Because like you and I both said, we're out there driving them to Contra. It is our choice to put them through Contra, but they've maybe never heard of it, don't have a profile set up yet. Have you found it difficult? And if so, where are the areas that people should coach people on with that?
Yes. And I think the most exciting part is like, if you had asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would say that sometimes our biggest obstacle is bringing folks who don't have a Contra profile, who aren't seeking independence on Contra already, to profile. Was like a little bit of a like, walk with me, let me guide you through this this platform on your end. This is what you're going to need step by step. But now that you're able to invite someone to a project that's already been created, a project where you've already signed the contract, where you have a link that you could send to them and they're going to get an email, they can immediately countersign and then share back that payment with you with like in no time, all within under 5 minutes of them like creating their profile, because we want to verify that they're real. But then as soon as they do that, immediately read through the contract, sign it, go, project has started, and it's all in platform. That was something that was our biggest obstacle, was bringing folks from the outside in. And now it's so easy to call folks in, welcome them in, and bring them onto the platform so that you can manage all of your work in one space. And so that you can also, again, ensure just like protection for yourself, commission-free payment, and also acknowledge the protections you have by having someone pay you through Contra, is that before you start the project, we collect the funds and hold on to them until the work is done, so that they're somewhere protected, safe, waiting for you. So I think that's something that's really exciting. We're like 2 weeks ago, that was a challenge. And now that's something that we've been able to listen to our folks who have been using Contra, clean that up and make that something for them.
Yeah. I just want to add on to that. That is exactly what I was hoping to hear, that you had that experience. Two things. First of all, you using Contra and you reaching out to the client and saying, this is the process we're going to use, says a lot about your professionalism. If you want to have a really great first impression about what it's like to hire you, using a platform like this is going to give that elevated first impression. Secondly, as a business owner, as a person who has full-time employees and contractors, what you may not understand that we have to go through, we have to get your W-9s. We have to get your social security number. We got to get your bank account. We got to go get that in our system. We got to make sure that it's working. We've got to figure out invoicing to pay you. It's a nightmare. it's the last thing that I want to be doing as a small business owner, the very last, or as a department manager, any of that. And we're always being, told by our accounting departments, you need this, you need that, you need compliance, stuff you don't want to ever know about. So when you say to them, this is the platform I'm using and all you have to do is fill out the information, you are making it infinitely easier on them to do all of the stuff that I'm talking about and to be in compliance. So it really is in your best interest to use something like this and drive customers to set up through that, because both sides win. They save time. It's a lot easier. And again, makes you look really good, which I love. So this is interesting. Jeff says, can a real estate broker work on Contra? So, of course, my answer is yes, but Olivia, I'll let you go first.
No, I agree. I think that the way that you're able to utilize projects and share the work that you're doing to leverage whatever sort of spaces that you are sharing with folks, you can use a project to showcase this is the property that we're looking at. This is what we're doing. And not necessarily having to sell a house as a service, but you can invite folks to collaborate with you. If it's someone that they want to work on in their real estate endeavors, you could invite them to have a free call, a consultancy, something that where you're able to schedule and get folks to connect with you in that way. But yes, you could share your projects creatively through Contra, through a different site, through a way that is easy for people to access. I think that's something that is really important about the way that the projects feature is laid out, is once someone gets there and they're looking at your work, your page, your services, your offerings, it's easy for them to see and access and to click where they want to go. And not every site is super accessible or intuitive. So I think that there's always an opportunity, but I know, JT, that you have got a long answer to this.
I could play this game all the time. So maybe next time we do one of these sessions, the whole hour is tell me what career you think can't be on Contra, and I'll prove to them that it can be, because I love this. So Jeff, here's what I see for you. How many real estate brokers are there out there in the world? Why do I want to work with Jeff? Talk about professional identity. This is the session today. Why is Jeff unique? What are the kinds of things that Jeff has done as a broker that make him different, that make people want to work with Jeff? So you want to think about that. So maybe there's a certain type of size home or property, I don't know if you're commercial or residential, that you sell. Maybe you educate first-time home buyers. Here's what you need to know. Are you, first time to the location where you are, things you need to know about the area. You're always trying to educate those potential buyers so that they feel comfortable and want to work with you. That's all content. And all of that can be put here in a Contra profile so that you could send them there and say, here's my Contra profile. On there, you're going to find out my checklist for first-time home buyers. You're going to find about financing options. Here's what you need to know about the area or the school system. What are the things that people always ask you about that if you could serve it up for them right there in the Contra profile, they could click around, find it, and be like, yeah, Jeff's the person that we need to work with. You don't get a chance at that unless they come through your door at the brokerage, right? So what if you could go out and give that to people and say, we've got everything you need. Any question you have that I generally answer is here listed as a project or a topic. Let's reframe it. Let's not call it project. Let's call it topic. Anything you can educate them on topic wise. If there's a URL, you could link to it. And to me, that's just a game changer. It shows your professionalism. It shows that if you knew to put these topics on your profile, Jeff, then that's how well you do as a broker, because you've had those questions so many times that you have a resource for it. That shows, the fancy term is gravitas, which means your depth of knowledge, your level of experience. The topics you choose to put in that portfolio is going to tell me just how good you are as a broker, because you're anticipating the things that I need to know and that I'm going to ask you as a potential real estate buyer. Does that make sense? Olivia, yeah? Makes sense.
Absolutely. I think there are so many ways to leverage projects, and that is sharing about. I could use a project to tell people about who I am instead of creating a website. For more information about me, check out this project. Yeah. If you want to see what I've done in the past, check out this project. You could share so many different things with folks utilizing this platform, which I think is really, really exciting. And you can find ways to connect with them. You can also utilize services as a tool to connect as well.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway that I want you to have right now is, just because you saw the tab projects and services, Replace that with topics, replace that with resources, replace that with stories, replace that with examples. Whatever it is that you use as a professional to educate people on what you do for work, that's what you would put in there. So don't get hung up on the word project, because I think people think project and they think this beginning and end. It's just a term that you had to give it something. You can't label it 10 different things on the profile, right? But don't get hung up on that. And if you have questions about that, you can message me and I will, as you've seen, give you plenty of examples of what you can put in there instead. So, Olivia, I can't believe it. We've plowed through an hour. You all have been amazing. What I want to hear right now from everybody is, what is the most valuable thing you learned today? What did we take away about professional identity in 2022? Please put that in the comments. Olivia and I are going to read everyone, I promise you. I want to thank you all for your time. It's obviously that I nerd out on this stuff. I've said to you before, it's rare that I come across something and I feel really good to share with my audience that this is something that you need. I've been so lucky to be on LinkedIn. We absolutely need it, but this is a we need it and moment in your life. If you want to stay competitive, you have to brand yourself. You have to manage your reputation. That's professional identity. And so you're going to have to start using tools like this or another one to complement what you're already doing on something like LinkedIn or your resume. So for that, I'm really grateful. But Olivia, I'm going to give it back to you. What do you want people to kind of close with today?
I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to hang out with us as we talked about something that we're both really passionate about, which is professional identities and Contra. But I encourage you to take a look, sign up. It's free. Take a look. It will guide you through those spaces. If you need any tips, you can head to the Contra tips profile. And I encourage you to also join our Slack community. So once you're in there in the settings page, you could join the Slack community and you could find me and you can DM me. You could ask questions publicly. You can ask questions of our other users, but take a look and see what it can do for you, how you could leverage this space and connect with us. I just really encourage you to go out on that limb to expand who you are, to share the work that you're doing, and to connect people to the work that you're doing as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Hopefully, I'll be able to drag Olivia back and we can do more sessions on this. So if you've got ideas for more topics, please put it in the comments comment section. We'll take a look at those. Otherwise, I wish you all the very best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all soon. Okay. Thanks, everyone.